Mr. President, in response to these developments, the federal government of Somalia issued a statement reaffirming its absolute and non-negotiable commitment to its sovereignty, national unity, and territorial integrity as enshrined in the Provisional Constitution of the Federal Republic of Somalia, the Charter of the United Nations, and the Constitutive Act of the African Union. The federal government of Somalia further stated that it categorically and unequivocally rejected what it characterized as a deliberate attack on its sovereignty. The Somali statement further noted that no external actor has the authority or standing to alter its unity or territorial configuration. Therefore, according to the statement, Somalia considers any declaration, recognition, or arrangement that seeks to undermine this reality to be null and void, and without any legal or political effect under international law. In its statement, Somalia also underscored that it would not permit the establishment of any foreign military bases or arrangements that would draw the country into proxy conflicts or import regional and international hostilities into this region. The federal government of Somalia warned that actions of this nature seriously undermined regional peace and stability and exacerbated tensions in the region. On 27 December, a joint session of Somalia's two houses of parliament also condemned and rejected what it termed the unlawful recognition of Somaliland by Israel. In a statement, the parliament further noted that any recognition by Israel or any other country is null and void, without legal basis, and has no international legal effect. Mr. President, Israel's announcement prompted widespread reactions from the region and beyond, including from Egypt, Jordan, Djibouti, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, among others, as well as a joint statement by 20 Middle Eastern and African countries rejecting and condemning Israel's recognition of Somaliland. Several regional organizations have issued similar statements stating the importance of respecting the unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of the Federal Republic of Somalia, including the League of Arab States, the Eastern African Community, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and the European Union.
Mr. President, A3 Plus strongly condemns the flagrant assault by Israel on the unity and the territorial integrity of Somalia by recognizing as an independent entity to the northwestern region of Somalia, so-called Somaliland, which is legally incapable of entering into any agreement or arrangement or recognition with another country. Any such purported arrangements are therefore null and void. Further, this action represents a direct violation of the UN Charter, the African Union's fundamental principles, and a breach of cornerstone of the international law. Respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the states. This act of aggression is aimed at encouraging fragmentation of the territory of Somalia, which is the northwestern region, is an integral part and is destabilizing the Horn of Africa, entire Horn of Africa, and the Red Sea region. It should be firmly rejected and condemned unequivocally by all member states. A3 Plus therefore rejects this announcement by Israel and calls for it to be rescinded. In this regard, A3 Plus aligns itself with the recent statements of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, in categorically rejecting all attempts at undermining the independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity of Somalia. A3 Plus reaffirms the long-standing and consistent position of the African Union rooted firmly in the constitutive act of the Union and the principles of respecting borders inherited at independence as proclaimed in 1964 decision of the Organization of African Unity, Cairo Declaration. We further call on all member states to take a unified and principled stand against this illegal action, which undermines the very foundation of the international legal order. A3 Plus seizes this opportunity to welcome all regional, international, bilateral, and multilateral partners who express their clear support and the commitment to the sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity of Somalia. Mr. President, taking note of the statements made by some officials regarding the forced involuntary relocation of Palestinians from their homeland to other countries, A3 Plus unequivocally reject any steps aimed at advancing this objective, including any attempt by Israel to relocate the Palestinian population from Gaza to northwestern region of Somalia. This action is not only unlawful, but is morally reprehensible. Recalling the provisional measures and advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice regarding the forcible displacement of Palestinian people from their land, we call on Israel to comply with its legal obligations on this matter.
Earlier this year, several countries, including members of this Council, made the unilateral decision to recognize a non-existent Palestinian state, and yet no emergency meeting was called to express this Council's outrage. This Council's persistent double standards and misdirection of focus distract from its mission of maintaining international peace and security. On the matter of Somaliland, we have no announcement to make regarding U.S. recognition of Somaliland, and there has been no change in American policy.
Мы, как и большинство наших коллег по Совету,
We, like most of our colleagues on the Council, are deeply concerned about Israel's politically motivated decision to recognize the independence of Somaliland. It contradicts the sovereignty, the territorial integrity, and unity of the Federal Republic of Somalia. We understand the justified reaction to this decision by the FRS government, the leadership of the African Union, regional states, and Arab countries. Muslim world, we express concern over the possible consequences, including potential escalation of tensions in the Horn of Africa and beyond.
и за его пределами.
On December 26th, Israel announced its official recognition of Somaliland as a so-called independent sovereign state and established comprehensive diplomatic relations with Somaliland, which further exacerbated tensions in the Horn of Africa. It immediately provoked strong dissatisfaction and condemnation from regional organizations such as the African Union, the Arab League, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and many countries in the region. China also expressed serious concern over this action and firmly opposes it. Respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity is a fundamental principle of the United Nations Charter and an unshakable cornerstone of international law and international relations, which must be upheld by all member states of the United Nations.
In 1960, when Somaliland emerged as an independent state, Israel was among 35 countries that formally recognized its independence. In the late 1980s, under the regime of Siad Barre, Somaliland's civilian population was subjected to mass atrocities. Entire cities were destroyed, civilians were deliberately targeted. These crimes are now widely recognized as the Isaaq genocide. At the time, Israel was the only country to formally raise these atrocities in this very council. For more than 3 decades since, it has existed entirely outside the authority of Mogadishu. Since 1991, Somaliland has consistently met the objective criteria for statehood under customary international law, as reflected in the Montevideo Convention. 1, it has a permanent population. 2, a defined territory. 3, an effective government. 4, the capacity to conduct foreign relations. In fact, Somaliland has held regular competitive elections, ensured peaceful transfers of power, and maintained effective governance and security throughout its territory. In a region marked by instability, Somaliland has demonstrated continuity, responsibility, and restraint. Moreover, Somaliland's engagement with the international community is already sustained and practical. Somaliland's historical sovereignty, more than 3 decades of effective self-governance, and demonstrated capacity to act as a responsible international partner meet the legal criteria that guide recognition. Israel has aligned its foreign policy with this reality. This approach reflects the spirit of the Abraham Accords. It is grounded in international law and directed towards greater stability and security in the region.
The United Nations emphasizes the unity and sovereignty of Somalia and the integrity of its territories, and rejects the Israeli recognition, considering it null and void and a threat to international peace and security.
Turkey firmly rejects Israel's announcement, which constitutes a clear and serious violation of international law and the Charter of the UN. Unilateral recognition of a region that is a part of a sovereign UN member state directly undermines principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and non-interference. This announcement constitutes another example of the Netanyahu government's unlawful actions aimed at creating instability at both regional and global level. Such conduct cannot be normalized, ignored, or can be excused. Secondly, this announcement sets a dangerous precedent with far-reaching consequences.
Egypt, according to the joint statement, in coordination with 21 countries from Arab, African, and Islamic states, and in collaboration with the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Gulf Cooperation Council, and according to what we heard minutes ago from the statement delivered by the observer delegate of the University of the Arab States and the representative of the observer delegate for the African Union, Egypt, along with them, rejected the Israeli recognition of what is called the region of Somaliland unequivocally and categorically, and condemned in the strongest terms this action for its direct violation of the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of Somalia.
رفضا قاطعا لا لبس فيه وأدانت بأشد العبارات هذا الإجراء لما ينطوي عليه من انتهاك مباشر لسيادة ووحدة وسلامة الصومال.
We affirm that Somaliland is an integral part of Somalia. We reiterate the statement of the chairperson of the AU Commission that any attempt to undermine Somalia's territorial integrity runs counter to the fundamental principles of the African Union and risks setting a dangerous precedent with far-reaching implications for peace and stability across the African continent. Mr. President, the actions of the State of Israel as the only state to recognize the illegal secession of a part of Somalia's territory must be condemned as a violation of the UN Charter and international law.